This Quick Start Guide will review how to use the Quick Assign feature as well as the Lesson Builder to create and assign lessons and assignments. The Quick Assign feature allows teachers to assign one component to students. First, I'll click on the Content tab, click on my grade level, grade 3, find my topic. If I'm teaching solving problems involving multiplication and division, I'll click on that. And now to quickly assign this Learn component, I'll use the Quick Assign arrow under the Action column. Once I click on that, I can adjust my assignment settings. More on that in a few moments. However, a teacher may want to include more than one component in a lesson. For example, a learn and a practice or two. To do this, we'll click on the Lesson tab in the navigation toolbar, and this will bring us to our lesson bank. As I scroll down, you'll notice numerous lessons that I have created or my colleagues have created and shared, and you can see who created the lessons in the Creator column. You'll notice there may be some lessons as we scroll down with no name listed under the Creator column. These are publisher-created lessons that teachers are welcome to use. Of course, one of the biggest benefits of the program is that teachers can create individualized lessons based upon the needs of the student or groups of students. In order to create a lesson, I'll scroll back up and click on the green Create tab in the upper right. We'll need to name the lesson. For our purposes, I'll call it Quick Start Demo. We then choose our grade, in this case grade 3. The default is to make our lesson public, to share with your colleagues at your school. Choosing No will keep it private. To add content to our lesson, we'll click on the Select button in the upper right-hand side, which brings us to the Content page. Keep in mind that as a teacher, you have access to all of the grade levels. You can include content from a different grade level, and students don't see the grade level. Before we choose which content we're going to include, I want to call your attention to the lower left-hand side where it says Return to Create Lesson and then a 0. The 0 will change as we add content. So let's find our grade 3 content. I'll click on grade 3. We were working on solving problems involving multiplication and division. And the first lesson is using multiplication tables of 2 and 3 to solve word problems. Here's the teach, here's the learn, and so forth. Now I need to think about the intention of this lesson once we have created it. Some teachers create a lesson to use in class with students. For example, if I'm introducing fractions to my third graders, perhaps I want to review working with equal groups from a second grade lesson. I could put all of the content I want to use into one lesson ahead of time instead of discouraging my third graders by seeing me click on grade 2 in front of them. For lessons to use with my class, I would probably want to include the teach component along with any other components I choose. If my intention is to assign this as a homework assignment, I wouldn't want to include a teach component. The teach is intended to be used by the teacher in class. For this demonstration, I'll be assigning the lesson for homework, so I'll include the learn. I'm going to do that by clicking on the check mark. Okay, the next is the Spanish. So if I want to include the Spanish version of the learn, I could click on that check mark. Next would be guided learning. I probably wouldn't include a guided learning simply because it's the intention that the guided learning would be done in class. But I will include a benchmark practice, so I'll click on that. Remember, assist practices are intended for those students who may be struggling a bit because it has more support, visual models, and scaffolding, whereas benchmark practices are more for students who are moving towards mastery. They offer a little bit less support. I can always edit a lesson later on. So I've included the benchmark practice, and Notice now the 2 in the lower left indicating I have 2 components in the lesson. I'll click on Return to create lesson, and it brings me back to our lesson. I'm happy with this lesson. I could change the order of the components if I needed to, or even delete a component. But for this, I'll click on Save. It tells me my lesson has been created, and now it brings us back to our lesson bank. If I want to assign the lesson, I'll find the lesson I want to assign. Here's the one we just created, the Quick Start Demo. And I'll click on the Assign arrow all the way at the end under the Action column. Here's where I can choose my start on date, as well as a specific time that my students would have access to it. And of course, the due date as well as a specific due date. I can scroll down and find my class. Perhaps it's 3C. I would assign it to all of my students in class 3C. Perhaps I even have a student from this 4D class come to me. I can assign it to that student as well. I'll scroll back up and click Assign, and my task has now been assigned. When students log on, they would see the assignment and click to begin.